Every offense, every moment of frustration, every single time we're wronged, insulted or hurt, it's all just life asking us, are you ready to love a little deeper? Now, I know you might be thinking, why should I love in response to pain? Why should I love when I'm offended, when I'm hurt? But let's flip this for a moment. What if every offense that comes your way, instead of being an invitation to react, was an invitation to react, was an invitation to respond? Not with bitterness, not with anger, but with compassion. Because here's a truth I want you to hold on to. You are never really reacting to another person, you're reacting to your own thoughts about them. Take that in for a moment. When someone cuts you off in traffic, when a loved one says something that stings, the hurt you feel doesn't come from the act itself. It comes from the thoughts you build around it. They don't respect me, they never listen, people always treat me this way. But if you step back, if you pause, suddenly that offense, that frustration, it's like a mirror. And you're seeing what's inside you reflected back. Here's the trick. The little secret love has no boundaries. It doesn't need them. Boundaries come from fear, from ego, from the need to be right. Love just flows, no matter the circumstances. And every time you're offended, you're actually being given an opportunity to peel back one more layer, to step out of the shell of who you were and into the fullness of who you can be. Imagine standing at a fork in the road. One path leads to resentment, and the other path leads to compassion. And every offense, every single irritation is that fork. Let's take an example. Maybe it's someone at work who never acknowledges your efforts, or a family member who seems to take you for granted. In that moment, the offense feels real, doesn't it? It hits you, it grabs hold of you. But if you respond with resentment, if you build that wall between you and them, what happens? You carry that offense like a weight, a heavy stone in your heart. And who's that really hurting? You see, love has the power to dissolve that weight. And not just for the other person, but for you. Because love isn't about letting people off the hook, it's about freeing yourself from the need to carry their actions around with you. Imagine that person who's hurt you. Visualize them right now, but instead of seeing them as someone who's wronged you, look deeper. See them as they truly are, another human being doing their best just like you. See their struggles, their fears, the same doubts and insecurities you felt. This doesn't mean you condone what they did, but it means you see through it. You see the pain behind it. And that compassion you feel, that's love's invitation. That's love saying there's more to this story. So let's try something radical here. Every time you feel offended, frustrated, wounded, ask yourself, what if this is my invitation to love deeper? It's a practice, it's a shift in perspective, and it takes courage. But when you do it, something magical happens. You let go of the need to hold on to those walls, those boundaries, and suddenly your whole life becomes filled with peace. It's a peace that can't be shaken because it doesn't rely on the world around you. It's a peace that comes from within. And remember, no one can take that peace from you. So let's dive right into this idea. When you choose love, boundaries disappear. Suddenly, you're no longer limited by the actions or opinions of others. You become boundless, filled with peace, a deep sense of purpose. What would that feel like? To live a life where you're no longer fenced in by the thoughts, the criticisms, or the judgments of those around you? To move through your days knowing that no person, no situation, no comment has the power to control your peace. Imagine that just for a moment. Imagine moving through life, not because of what others might say or do, but because you're fueled by this unstoppable force of love. You see, most of us walk around with these walls. Invisible walls we've built over the years based on painful experiences, judgments, our own fears. They're built from a lifetime of holding on to offenses, reacting to others, protecting ourselves from rejection or disappointment. But what if I told you that those boundaries aren't real, that you're holding on to them and they're holding on to you, but they're not who you are? The truth is that you are boundless. You were born that way. You weren't born to hold on to grudges, to keep score, or to live in a constant state of reaction to others. You were born to be a vessel of love, and love has no edges, no borders. It flows wherever it's needed. So when you choose love, truly choose it, suddenly those walls don't make sense anymore. And without them, you're not limited to what you thought was possible. You're not even bound by who you thought you were. Think about it like this. Every time you react to someone else's behavior, every time you let anger or resentment or frustration take over, you give a little bit of your freedom away. Every time you let someone else's negativity change your state, you're giving them a piece of your power. You're living on your own terms. Here's something powerful to consider. Nobody can make you feel anything you don't allow. People can say what they want, do what they want, but ultimately it's up to you how you respond. You get to choose whether their actions will shape your mood, your day, your life. Love, when chosen deeply, isn't just a warm, fuzzy feeling, it's an unbreakable force of freedom. Love doesn't mean being a pushover or letting people walk over you. It means you're no longer reliant on others to define your peace, your happiness, your sense of worth. Now, I want you to try something. Think of someone in your life who has been difficult, who may have hurt you, or who simply drains your energy. Instead of focusing on the ways they failed you or hurt you, try this. Imagine them as a teacher. Imagine them as someone who has come into your life to show you where you can grow. See, every difficult person you encounter is really a mirror, reflecting back the parts of yourself that need healing, the parts that long to love unconditionally. And every time you find a way to respond with love instead of offense, those parts of you get stronger, more whole. The beauty of choosing love is that it's an act of empowerment. Think about it. No one else controls how you feel or how you respond. Only you do. And when you respond with love, when you let go of offense, you're stepping into your truest power. You're no longer waiting for someone else to change or apologize. You're no longer waiting for conditions to be just right. You're free. Let's go a little deeper. Boundaries keep you limited, they keep you in a reactive state. But love moves you out of that. When you choose love, you're stepping out of the cycle of reaction and stepping into a state of creation. You're no longer a puppet pulled by the strings of others' behavior. You become the creator of your own experience. You're creating a life filled with peace, a life where every interaction is an opportunity for growth and deeper compassion. Here's a little exercise I want you to try. When you're feeling hurt or angry, when someone pushes your buttons, pause and ask yourself, how would I respond if I were coming from a place of love? Notice how this question shifts your perspective. Suddenly, instead of seeing that person as an enemy, you start to see them as another soul on their own journey, dealing with their own challenges, maybe struggling in ways you can't even see. And with that shift, love flows in. And as that love flows, those boundaries dissolve. Remember, love isn't just a word, it's a state of being. And it's one you can choose in any moment. Every offense, every frustration is a choice point. When you choose love, boundaries disappear, and you find yourself in a place of true freedom where nothing and no one can shake your peace. So I want you to try something radical the next time you're faced with someone who's hurtful, frustrating, or negative. Respond with love, not for them, but for you. Do it because every moment you choose love over offense, you're stepping into the boundless self you were born to be. Imagine for a moment that every offense, every irritation, every single jab or judgment you've encountered is like a mirror, reflecting a part of you that's asking for growth. Now, instead of turning away, instead of resisting what you see in that mirror, what if you love that reflection? What if, instead of rejecting it, you invited it in as a teacher? What if, every time you felt the sting of offense, it was just a gentle nudge saying, look here, this is where you can grow? Now, I get it, this sounds almost impossible. We're conditioned to believe that if someone's offensive, it's their issue. They need to change, they need to apologize. But let's flip the script here. Let's take a look at every offense, every criticism, every hurtful word, and see it as a mirror reflecting something in us that's ready to heal, to expand. That's right, it's an opportunity, a signpost saying, look here, there's some growth waiting for you. And why would we resist that? Think about it. We spend so much time trying to avoid pain, conflict, and offense, but what if every time you're hurt or frustrated, it's actually an invitation to look deeper, to grow beyond the boundaries you've unknowingly set around your own spirit, to step into a bigger version of who you are. Take a moment and consider this. If you were perfectly at peace within, perfectly content, would someone's unkind words even ruffle you? Would someone's judgment sting, or would it simply wash over you like water on a duck's back? When you're aligned, when you're rooted in love and self-acceptance, those things simply lose their power. They can't reach you because you're operating on a whole different plane, a place where offense doesn't even register. But until then, until we're in that place of alignment, those offenses can feel like arrows. So the next time you feel that sting, don't just react. Step back and look in that mirror. Ask yourself, what is this teaching me about myself? Maybe it's showing you where you still hold insecurities, where you still feel unworthy, or where you're holding on to a need for validation from others. These mirrors are powerful because they expose the parts of us we're often reluctant to see. They give us a chance to release what no longer serves us. Think about a time when someone's words deeply hurt you. Maybe they dismissed you or ignored something important you shared. Now, if that hurt, it's likely because there's a part of you that believes their words are true, or a part that still needs acknowledgement and validation from others. But here's the key: when you recognize that, when you see that reflection as an invitation, you stop needing validation from anyone outside of yourself. You begin to love that part of you that feels hurt. And as you do, those mirrors start to shift. The reflections change. Suddenly, the same comments, the same criticisms, they don't hold the same power. Why? Because you've done the inner work. You've seen the mirror, and you've embraced the growth it showed you. Here's something radical to consider. What if you could love every offense that came your way, not for the pain it caused, but for the transformation it allowed? What if every harsh word was a step toward healing an old wound, building inner strength, expanding into a greater version of yourself? When you practice this, it's like breaking free from a cycle you didn't even know you were in. You're no longer the puppet to every offense, every unkind word, every critical comment. You've removed the strings, and now you're dancing to the rhythm of your own truth. You're the creator of your response, no longer reacting out of old wounds, but responding out of a place of wholeness, of love. Here's an exercise for you. The next time you're offended, instead of reacting immediately, pause. Close your eyes, take a breath, and picture that offense as a mirror held up to you. Now, with that mirror, ask yourself, what part of me is being triggered? What belief? What insecurity? What wound is this revealing? And then, with all the compassion you can muster, love that part of you. Love it fiercely, because that's the part of you that's growing, evolving. And remember this: you are not limited to who you were yesterday. Imagine this every time you feel offended, every pang of frustration, every moment you choose to hold on to resentment. It's like pouring energy into a world of limitation. But what if, instead of fueling those boundaries, you redirected that very energy into something far more expansive? What if you chose love over offense, compassion over resentment? Picture the endless potential that unfolds when you make that shift. Let me ask you something powerful. What if every offense was an invitation to love deeper? Think about that for a second. Instead of reacting with anger or hurt, what if you responded with understanding and compassion? It sounds radical, doesn't it? But here's the magic in it. When you choose love, you're not just changing your reaction, you're transforming your entire experience of life. See, the energy you use to be offended is potent. It shapes your reality, creates the world you live in. Resentment, anger, and frustration, they're not just feelings, they're forces that build walls around you. Walls that keep you confined to a space of pain and limitation. But love is the key that unlocks those walls. It's the force that can turn those confined spaces into vast, open landscapes of possibility. Imagine shifting that power. Imagine taking the energy you spend being offended and channeling it into love. What does that look like? It's like taking a heavy, dark cloud and transforming it into a radiant sunrise. Suddenly, the world doesn't seem so harsh. The people around you don't seem so difficult. Life doesn't seem so limiting. Instead, everything becomes an opportunity for growth, for deeper connection, for boundless joy. Here's a little story to illustrate this. Think about a time when someone really hurt you. Maybe it was a friend, a family member, or even a stranger. The immediate reaction is usually one of anger or hurt, right? But what if instead you chose to see that person with compassion? To understand that their actions, their words were reflections of their own struggles and pain. When you do that, you release yourself from the burden of their offense. You free up that energy to create something beautiful in your life. Let's dive deeper. Every time you choose to be offended, you're holding on to a narrative. A story that says, I am a victim or I deserve better. But when you shift that narrative to one of love, you start to rewrite your story. You become the author of a tale that's filled with empowerment, with resilience, with endless potential. You move from a place of limitation to a place of infinite possibilities. Think about the words you use every day. Words have power. When you say, I can't, or it's too hard, you're setting boundaries around yourself. But when you replace those words with, I can or I choose to, you're opening up new avenues for growth and success. It's the same with how you respond to offense. Love expands your world, resentment contracts it. Here's another hook for you. Love is not a limited resource, it's abundant, infinite. The more you give it, the more you receive. When you choose to love instead of being offended, you're tapping into a wellspring of energy that propels you forward. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. You start to see possibilities you never noticed before. Let's make this practical. The next time you feel offended, take a moment to breathe. Pause. In that pause, ask yourself, what is this feeling trying to teach me? Often, offense is a signal pointing us toward an area in our lives that needs healing or attention. By responding with love, you're addressing that need directly and compassionately. Imagine living a life without limits. A life where every challenge is met with grace, every conflict with understanding. That's the power of shifting your energy from offense to love. It's not about ignoring your feelings or pretending everything is okay. It's about acknowledging your pain and choosing a higher path to transcend it. Here's a powerful truth: you are the creator of your reality. The energy you invest in being offended is shaping your world in ways you might not even realize. But when you shift that energy to love, you're actively designing a life that's rich with possibilities, connection, and endless growth. Think about the last time you felt truly free. When you weren't weighed down by anger or resentment. That freedom is always within reach, waiting for you to make the conscious choice to let go and embrace love. It's a choice that empowers you, liberates you, and connects you to the boundless potential that lies within and around you. Here's another exercise for you. Close your eyes and visualize the energy you spend on offense. See it as a dark, heavy substance. Now imagine transforming that substance into a brilliant, radiant light. Watch as that light expands, filling your entire being with warmth and love. Feel the difference. That's the shift I'm talking about, the transformation of your energy from something limiting to something limiting to something limitless. And remember, this isn't a one-time thing. It's a practice, a daily commitment to choosing love over offense. Each time you make that choice, you strengthen your ability to create a life without limits. You cultivate a mindset that sees opportunities instead of obstacles, love instead of offense. Here's a final thought to carry with you. The energy you use to be offended can create worlds. Shift that power to love and watch as your life transforms in ways you never thought possible. Embrace the endless potential of a life without limits and step into the boundless love that's waiting for you. Keep this in your heart. Love is your most powerful tool. Use it wisely, use it generously, and watch as it reshapes your world into a masterpiece of joy, peace, and infinite possibilities. Imagine for a moment that all those things that get under your skin, those little moments that irritate you, those words and actions that sting, they're not really about the world outside of you at all. They're about something inside. And the question I want to ask you is this: who are you when you're not offended? Think about it. Who are you really when you drop that need to be upset or insulted, when you let go of that instinct to carry hurt like a badge? When you're not offended, you're free. You're expansive. You're the self that's beyond judgment, beyond ego, beyond the smallness of being hurt. Because here's a little secret: offense, anger, resentment, these are all products of the mind, and they're part of the walls we build around ourselves trying to protect who we think we are. But when you let those things go, when you choose love over offense, those walls dissolve, and you step into a version of yourself that's infinitely more powerful, infinitely more at peace. Consider this: every offense is like a thread, tying you to a smaller version of who you are. Each time you're offended, it's like saying, this moment, this person, this thing, it has control over my peace. And just for a second, imagine what it would be like to simply choose not to be offended. Not in a fake, passive way where you're hiding your feelings, but in a way that's deeply freeing, because you no longer need anyone else's words or actions to determine how you feel inside. You've chosen a place where love replaces offense. Now, you might be thinking, why should I let go of offense? Isn't that what keeps people accountable? Isn't that what keeps us safe? But here's the thing, love is not passive. Love is not weak. When you choose love over offense, you don't ignore what happens around you. You simply stop letting it dictate who you are. And in that, you find the kind of power that's unshakable. It's the power to respond with grace, to stay rooted in your own truth no matter what anyone else does or says. So I want you to picture someone who recently offended you. Maybe they insulted you, maybe they cut you off, maybe they disregarded something you value. Hold them in your mind for a moment. Now, instead of seeing them through the lens of offense, imagine seeing them as they are, another person with fears, with hopes, with struggles, someone who, like you, is doing the best they can in this moment. Because that's what love does. It allows us to see the truth beneath the surface. Imagine a life where you don't take things personally, where someone's criticism doesn't shake your self-worth, where a stranger's rudeness doesn't pull you off center. Think about it. If you are always waiting for the world to align with your expectations, you're never truly free. But if you're rooted in love, if you're rooted in a sense of joy that doesn't depend on what others say or do, then you are untouchable. You are limitless. I want you to try something right now. Take a deep breath, and as you do, imagine letting go of the last thing that offended you. Breathe in love and breathe out the need to be right, to be acknowledged, to be validated by anyone else. Feel that shift? That's what freedom feels like. And here's a little exercise for you. Every time you're about to react, every time you feel that familiar pull of irritation or offense, ask yourself, who am I without this? And then take it a step further, choose to be that person. Choose to be the person who responds with compassion, who offers understanding instead of judgment. Not because the other person deserves it, but because you deserve it, because that's the place where your highest self resides. Choosing love over offense is not about condoning or agreeing with everything that happens around you. It's about refusing to let the behavior of others decide your state of mind. It's about standing in your own truth so firmly that no one else's actions can pull you from it. Think of the things that used to offend you, the little things you used to take personally. What if they were simply reflections, showing you the places where you can grow? What if every offense was like a pebble on your path, not there to trip you up, but to remind you of your power to step over it, to move beyond it? Because that's exactly what life is doing. It's handing you opportunities to rise, to transcend, to release those walls around your heart. And as you choose love, as you let go of offense, you start to see the world differently. You begin to see how everyone is walking their own path, carrying their own burdens. You stop holding grudges. You stop needing others to change for you to feel okay. And that, my friends, is real freedom. The freedom to be yourself fully without limits. So next time you feel offense creeping in, take a moment, take a breath, and ask yourself, who am I when I let this go? Because that's your true self, the one that's free, the one that's free, the one that's full of joy, the one that's able to connect deeply with everyone around you. This is the journey from offense to love. And I'm telling you, it's the journey back to yourself. You know, it's amazing to think that every single moment of your life, you have this choice, this incredible power to decide what reality you're going to live in. And that choice, it's love. Love as a choice, as a decision you make, can change everything. Love over offense, over judgment, over fear. Because believe me, if you're constantly getting offended, then you're always in reaction mode. You're always living according to the external, what others say, what they think, how they treat you. But what if you chose differently? What if in every single interaction you chose love over offense? A freedom in that. Imagine never giving anyone else the power to upset you, to make you feel less than whole, less than completely beautifully yourself. You'd be free, truly free. See, love is a choice that changes your reality because it places you in a state of total alignment with who you are. The moment you decide to stop being offended, you make a massive shift from reaction to intention. Suddenly, you're living life on your terms. You're not tossed around by the winds of other people's opinions or behaviors. You've anchored yourself in a place so deeply connected to love that nothing can shake you from it. Think about that, a life where you walk around with an open heart, ready to embrace every experience, every person, every challenge with love. Doesn't that sound liberating? Now let's talk about what it really means to be offended. Being offended is a way of giving away your power. It's saying, you hurt me, you control my happiness, you have the power to make me feel small. But when you choose love, it's not about them, it's about you. When you choose love, you say, I am bigger than this situation, I am beyond this hurt, I am beyond this hurt, I am beyond this pettiness. You're reclaiming your power. You're taking it all back. Let me give you a little exercise here. Imagine you're walking into a room, and in this room are all the people who have ever hurt you, who've wronged you, who've made you feel less than whole. Imagine you're standing in the middle of them, feeling the energy. And instead of clenching up, closing off, you take a deep breath, you look them in the eye, and you feel only compassion, you feel only love. You say, in your heart, I choose love. In that moment, you're free. You're no longer tethered to those experiences, those people, those memories. You're stepping into a reality where you're creating, not reacting. You're living, not just surviving. And maybe some of you are thinking, but what if people take advantage of that? What if they mistake my love for weakness? Here's the beautiful irony when you are rooted in love. True love, no one can ever take advantage of you. Love, when it's genuine, when it's from a place of strength, is the most powerful, unbreakable force in the universe. You don't need anyone's approval. You don't need anyone's validation. When you're living with love, you are complete within yourself. So let's make this even more practical. Next time you feel yourself about to be offended, pause. Just pause. Feel that split second where you have the choice, the power to decide how you're going to respond. Take a breath and ask yourself, what's the most loving response I can give right now? Not the easiest, not the most comfortable, but the most loving. And let that guide you. When you do this, you'll notice something incredible happen. The people around you change. The situations that used to trigger you start to lose their hold. Why? Because love changes your perspective. When you look at someone through the lens of love, you're not looking for ways to be hurt or wronged. You're looking for connection, understanding, compassion. Love is expansive, it's inclusive, it's forgiving. It doesn't care about being right or proving a point. Love is interested in connection, in understanding. It's interested in peace, in harmony. So my friends, if you want to change your reality, start with love. Make love your intention, your compass. Let love be the lens through which you see the world. And I promise you, you will start to see the world in a whole new way. You'll see the beauty in others, in yourself, in every experience, no matter how challenging. You'll see that life is always working for you, not against you. When you choose love, your life becomes a masterpiece. Every choice, every action, every word becomes a stroke on the canvas of your reality. So choose love over and over again, because love is the choice that changes everything.